with almost 3,000 houses, almost 30 blocks, 9 to 11 floors, a new city will come up in that region. Because we do not have oil in Kikuyu or in Kiambu, our potential lies in our strategic positioning near the city of Nairobi, near an international airport. When farmers in Honorable Angwe's constituency produce avocados, we will have an agri-city in Kikuyu that will produce avocado oil, produce avocado puree for the export market and for local consumption, and create job opportunities for young men and women in Kikuyu. That is why earlier Honorable Speaker was telling that hate monger and ethnic bigot that we shall never allow anybody to come and interfere with the peace and tranquility in our town in Kikuyu. And I have said this afternoon, and let me repeat it. Rigathi can continue threatening everybody and anyone he desires, but he knows me. When he was deputy president, I told him, I will be the last man standing when you try and intimidate people. Let me tell him from his village, or from the funerals he's speaking from. Kimani Ichung'wah, whether you mention my name 1 million times, whether you sell your propaganda 10 million times, I will be the last man to be intimidated, to be threatened, or to be cowed by an ethnic bigot and a hate monger. I must thank the president because the development we are seeing across the country is courtesy of focused leadership, Honorable Speaker. I listened to the president yesterday encourage young leaders in this country and telling young leaders not to be intimidated. I want to encourage you also, young leaders, like the member for Chepalungu. Do not be intimidated by anybody. Nobody will decide who will be elected or who will be re-elected. It is the people. And the people of Kenya are conscious of what they want. They want leaders who will transform their lives. Leaders who have impactful development programs and projects in their localities to be able to create job opportunities for their children, Honorable Speaker. Not people who just sell hatred and ethnic bigotry because you think by being an ethnic bigot, you will mobilize a whole community. You know, he's even taking communities for fools. And least of all, Honorable Speaker, where I come from, our community are not fools. That is why you see the community where I come from, Honorable Speaker, will listen to you quietly without reacting. When it comes to voting, they will vote in the right leaders. Those who carry their interests at heart, those who carry their aspirations, not those who speak to the gallery, imagining that they're exciting. And history is replete with political rejects who have spoken with a lot of bravado in our community, calling themselves heroes and heroines, and they end up in the political garbage bins. Even these ones, Honorable Speaker, watch this space. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, you know, I was being told I am a young leader. Let me tell those who are referring to me as a young leader. How can a single-term MP refer to me as a young, ati kijana? You know, you refer to people who are the age of your children as kijana. If you were elected the other day, you found me in this house doing my second term. I am doing my third term, heading to my fourth term. Then you are referring me to as these young people. I might look young, but my brain, my intellect is way beyond yours, my friend. Way beyond yours. That is when you were stealing relief food. I was a student at the Alliance High School when you were stealing relief food. When you are presiding over the murdering of people from your own community in 1992, I was still a student. When you were stealing from your brother, I had just graduated from the university. Therefore, these thieves should know people and know people well. Honorable Speaker, allow me to move this bill because this bill is transformational to this country. And I was urging you to pass this bill as quickly as we can to help us realize that long-held dream since the time of President Mwai Kibaki, a visionary leader a leader who hailed from Nyeri County. But never at one time did I ever hear President Mwai Kibaki converse in public in the Kikuyu language or Kikuyu dialect. Because he realized he was a national leader. He carried the aspirations not just of the people of Nyeri and the Mount Kenya region, but carried the aspirations of the entire nation. That is why today we remember President Mwai Kibaki with a lot of admiration. He never showed any bravado or chest thumping as a leader of a community. First, who told you are a leader of a community if you can't even lead a family? If all you can do is steal from your family? When you are stealing from your own brothers, orphans, and widows, who told you you can lead a community? When you are jailing your own nephews because you hold a position of influence in government to be able to steal from their family, and you want to tell us you can lead anybody? I want to repeat what the president said: you will lead nobody. You will lead nowhere. Honorable Speaker, let us pass this bill so that the people of Lokicha, the people of Turkana, and most importantly, our nation grows with a new industry in oil and gas. And this bill, as I said, deals with the hurdles or the gaps that existed before that stopped us from being able to exploit that full potential of the oil and gas sector. From the time of Mwai Kibaki, the wasted 10 years after Mwai Kibaki, when nothing was being done there, people just sought to strike deals with tallow oil. When it backfired, they were left insulting everybody in town. Now President William Ruto has made sure that we have investors. And I know there are those who take offense that they are also investors who come from this region. And I heard the other day, Honorable Speaker, when people attempted to bring in very expensive fuel. And I must say, Honorable Speaker, the fuel that was being brought in by One Petroleum was going to land in our petroleum pumps at 43 shillings above the G2G fuel. Then the owners of that company go and bribe some loudmouth joker and one member of parliament to start shouting all over, saying that you are protecting G2G for other interests. G2G has worked for this country. Today, almost a month plus after the war in the Gulf, fuel prices in the United States have gone up. Ours, we have been able to moderate because of that preferential agreement that exists under G2G. Then you hear one confused member of parliament and that ethnic bigot trying to tell us, oh, this G2G is not beneficial to the country. And I must support what CS Wandai said yesterday. Oil marketers who are hoarding fuel for stations up country must desist from hoarding fuel. Because as the ministry has said, there have been adequate supplies, adequate fuel in our country. And I know some were hoarding, imagining that fuel prices will go up immediately. I even saw one confused element trying to say, oh, I am daring the government. You are daring the government as who? Naturally, if there's shortage of supply from oil in the Gulf, at one point or the other, fuel prices are bound to go up, and they will go up. But let us not allow criminals